There's nobody joining me tonight on Coast to Coast Pinball. We've had a great run of interviews. It will continue soon, but there's other business at hand that we need to discuss, or at least I want to discuss, because I can, because it's my show and that's what I do. It's episode 142. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast, a commentary. Keep that in mind. And I'm a man out of quarters. How are we doing tonight? We're coming to you not live from San Diego, California. Wednesday night, March 4th, 2015. It's like a spring day here. I gotta rub it in a little bit. It is beautiful. 70-something degrees today. The sunset over the ocean was gorgeous. Full moon in the sky. It's really nice here right now. Sorry. Loved having Zach Sharp on last night. That was a lot of fun. Got some great feedback, some nice emails. I think that there is definitely interest in people hearing from some of the top players. I've had a few people ask me why so many all at once. I consider it my motivation right now to turn out a lot of episodes. I could do 1 or 2 episodes a week, or I could throw in a ton of great interviews that you can listen to at your leisure with some top players. And as we get, headed into the World Championship for IFPA and the Papa World Championship, I think it's a great time to explore what goes on in the minds of top elite players. More to come, by the way. So there's some stuff going on we're going to talk about in Forum Static tonight, and I want to preface this segment of Forum Static. And I don't have real good notes tonight. It's a little off the cuff, and I kind of want it to be that way. The situation we're going to discuss, let's just start it right. I have to be official here.
Forum Static.
All right. In Forum Static tonight, we're going to discuss the Skit B Pinball Predator issue. And I'm going to be as honest with you, friendly listener, as I can, because I think if you're spending the time going along for the ride on these podcasts with me, I want you to know my angle, my slant, and what I can tell you at any given moment. And I will tell you, everything I say here tonight is my opinion. It is my best assessment of the situation. I do know some facts, undisputable facts about the whole situation that I am not at liberty to I'm not at liberty, nor do I think it's appropriate for me to talk about on this show at this point. And that's out of respect to the people involved and respect to the people who've told me some of this info. But I also don't think it's totally appropriate to run with some things right now, given that I think this is an ongoing story with things happening. But I do want to say that I have no agenda with Skit B Pinball, personally, other than I wish them the best of luck in what they do to promote pinball and build the pinball community. I have no sponsors on this show. I have no monetary interest past T-shirts. By the way, there's new T-shirts available. I have very little to gain from saying anything negative about any game, any company building a game, any player, etc., etc., etc. So I do tend to look for the positive in the stories. I think there's more harm to come by being overly critical than by being overly positive. So that is the route I have taken as much as I can with Coast to Coast Pinball. However, there are times when situations are undeniable, and there are things that are in need of both criticism and negative commentary, because not doing so would actually be the thing I believe bad for pinball as a hobby. Follow me? You with me? I don't even know if I'm with me. So I'll tell you very much first. I was when Predator was first announced. Let's go in the Wayback Machine a little bit. We're not playing Rocky and Bullwinkle, but we are going to go in the Wayback Machine. And we're going to look, nearly, 3 years ago, I think? It's kind of funny because the dating on some of these threads that I've been going back and looking at on Pinside don't have exact dates. They all just say 2 years ago, but it's over 2 years ago. And if we look at when Predator was not just announced, but when we started seeing Whitewoods for Predator, I was not doing this show. I was not looking at pinball with such a knowing or wanting to know eye, such a critical eye. I just wasn't. I had a game or two. I was playing pinball. I was having fun. I was sitting on Craigslist every day trying to find, good games at low prices, like a lot of people are. And I did not follow Predator. I kind of knew about it by just browsing Pinside. I don't even think I was signed up for Pinside at the time. And once I started doing a show, I had lots of inquiries very early on. I was like, oh, talk about Predator. So that's when I really, dove into looking at Skitby and what they'd done. And then I started going to shows, and I met Kevin and his group. I played Predator at the Texas Pinball Festival about a year ago. And I've watched the events unfold. So I was not reading the threads on Predator in real time back then, but I have read them now. I've read almost all of the posts in all of the threads, and if you want to do some of that reading, there's lots of reading to do. And I'm specifically reading today a thread called Predator Pinball at Michigan Pinball Expo. And this was started by Skitby Pinball, started by Kevin on Pinside a long while back, over 2 years ago. There's 1,500 posts or more in this thread. There's also a new Predator info thread, which has 7,000 posts to it, which was started also by Skitby Pinball. And reading through all of that, I have to tell you, knowing what I know now in 2015 knowledge and 2015 Nate Shivers, Coast2Coast Pinball, 142 episodes in, and looking at how hard it is to build a pinball machine, it's very telling how much of a daunting task Skitby Pinball actually had in front of them at the time, when this was just a dream and just, hey, we're going to build a game, and hey, we'll build no more than 250, and there's going to be a pre-order, and then now there is a pre-order, and here we go. And the ride started, and many people jumped on just to get a space, and then they played some of the working prototypes, and they sent money in, and then there was a wait list, and it happened very quickly for that much money to flow to a company with zero track record whatsoever. So going back and reading all those posts, I'm almost uncomfortable reading those posts, to be quite honest. There's some things said by Kevin in these posts that come off as, and this isn't a slam on him, it's just how it reads to me here with all the hindsight at my disposal. It reads incredibly naive to me now. And I think if the same posts were posted today, post Dutch Pinball, post Vonnie D, post Jersey Jack Pinball, and the time frames that have been missed, and the drama that has occurred, and the different scenarios which have occurred under this, small company, independently built pinball machine world that we've all been sort of watching, I think a lot of the stuff that was posted back then would not just raise eyebrows, would not just raise red flags, but would have people jumping down their throats and calling them insane and accusations. And I got to tell you, there was some of that back then, but not a lot. And some of the things that were said that raise big red flags to me now were things along the lines of questions about the license specifically. And when Kevin was asked, about, say, Arnold Schwarzenegger's involvement with the license, and the answers to these questions were extremely, extremely glossed over and sort of pushed to the side, and very much blue skies and rainbows, everything's good, oh yeah, no problem there. And a question about music from Predator came up in the thread, and I won't go digging out for it right now, but this is my best summary of what was posted. Was somebody asked about a song, and would you be able to license a song for your machine too? And Skitby Pinball said, oh yeah, of course, it's in the movie. So yeah, anything that's in the movie. And that's just not how it works. and I don't need to call an expert in licensing to know that when you go into a license on a movie, and a lot of this, I will be very honest with you, I learned by following the Dutch pinball situation, Big Lebowski, and asking lots of questions about that when we thought there could be an issue with the license there. To say that you can simply, easily, quickly license a movie like Predator and be able to just draw Arnold Schwarzenegger and use call-outs and voice speech and music from a movie and make that happen so easily without any pushback from the licensee, which is what it reads like was being said at the time, that is simply not how it works. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there as best I can. So going back and reading through this thread and looking at how the game came to be, I think tells a lot of the story. I think, and this is my opinion, I think Kevin got extremely carried away with this project. I think that it was exciting. It was a huge ego boost to have so many people fawning over the idea of buying a game from him. I think anybody in that position would get carried away, and I think he got very, very carried away. And we've seen a lot of time go by, and we've seen a lot of things that have been said. And for a long time, people just sort of took it all at face value because this was one of the first of the small build, boutique, independent companies building a pinball machine in this modern era. And a lot of people didn't know the questions to ask and didn't know the ins and outs, didn't know anything about licensing. And a lot of the conversation gets really focused on actually the game play and, you should add this into the game. And Kevin is very excited about the game 2 years ago in these old posts. And he's all over Pinside, literally all over Pinside. Every few days, and sometimes maybe a week or two will go by, he literally responds to every single question in this thread in the first few pages, in this big, at the Michigan Pinball Expo thread. He is relentless in his answering of questions. And Pinside became one of the big vehicles for promotion for the game and selling the game. So if we take that as a base knowledge, I will tell you, just looking at this situation, because I got to say, I wasn't really going to get into this situation. I felt since the games were 250 of them, you couldn't buy one anymore. They had told me they were working on games. I'd asked how the wiring harness were being done at one point at one of the shows. Kevin gave me an answer. Seemed legit. I moved on. I wasn't going to get into this. But I've had emails from listeners of the show ask me, some of these people have money in the project. Can you please tell me what you think of this? This is starting to freak me out. So we'll get there. Rewind back to last year when all references and artwork to the Predator intellectual property were pulled, quote, scrubbed from the Skip-B Pinball website. And that freaked everybody out. And eventually, Kevin did come onto Pinside and explain what was going on. And then he didn't say the word Predator. And people called him out. Hey, you didn't say the word Predator. And it freaked people out even more. And Kevin came back on and said the word Predator. And everyone just calmed down and moved on. I think that's a very, very, very important milestone in this story, is all of that Predator stuff being pulled from the website. I have read the arguments why it might be pulled. Well, hey, they've sold all the games. They don't need to promote it. Or maybe the license was so specific that they couldn't promote it. I would be shocked if there was a license to build 250 pinball machines with the giant Predator logo on it. This is my opinion and commentary here. I'd be shocked. Frankly, I probably wouldn't believe it if somebody told me there was a license to build 250 $5,000-ish games. And, oh, by the way, you can't advertise that you ever built them on your website. It's part of that contract. I I don't believe that. I don't. I would be shocked if there was a license that did that made the company. Okay, so let's take Jersey Jack Pinball. Do you think at any point, Jersey Jack Pinball, if I go to Jersey Jack Pinball right now, and I know I believe Wizard of Oz is still probably an active license for them, but if I go to Jersey Jack Pinball right now, and just in the Google search, Wizard of Oz comes up in the menus. But if I go there, there's a giant Wizard of Oz pinball machine right there. Do I expect that in, say, 2 more years' time, when their license time period has run out, that there will be zero mention of Wizard of Oz machines? There will be no past games built with Wizard of Oz machines. I don't believe that. Do you believe that's going to happen? Because that's not going to happen. Jersey Jack built the game. That's actual just history. We built this game. Here's the game, and we don't build it anymore. They can't sell anymore. Licenses don't take away the ability to talk about something your company actually did. That is not how it works. Stern Pinball. Go to the games. Go to the archive. I'm looking at Pirates of the Caribbean, NASCAR, Simpsons Pinball Party on their website. That's how it works. They built the games. You can't pretend, or you can't make a company pretend they didn't do something. I mean, I guess you could potentially, but you're not going to. So that to me is a big major milestone. And I've read all the threads, and I've seen some of the people who are very, very defensive. And I understand being defensive on this. Some people have money tied up, and they do not want to accept the fact that something bad might have been going on or has happened here. Or they may be close with Kevin. And Kevin, by all accounts, is a really good dude. He's been super sweet to me in person. And you know what? He returned my email 2 days ago very quickly. I did email him about this because I always want to give everyone a fair shake here. We'll get to that. So I just don't buy. And I didn't buy it then, but I didn't really think about it too hard then either. And I just figured, you know what, maybe there's a new website coming, maybe there's a problem, maybe they're fighting about the length of time on a license for Predator, because licenses run out. And that's something that's very real. And the company I used to work for, PV Electronics, we licensed Marvel characters, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things like that to do guitar accessories for. There were time limits on that. And I know they spent money renewing licenses at times because products took too long from China to get in stock, and they had to literally go back and pay again to get that license extended before they ever actually invoiced one of those things they had already paid to build, if that makes sense. So, in my head, that's what I was thinking last year when the site was scrubbed of Predator. So we fast forward to Chicago Expo. And this is where I have to be a little careful because I've been told some things that are secondhand that I don't think that's fair to repeat on here, because that to me is that's basically rumor. And I've been told some things that were first-ish hand that were told to me off the record. So I've had to really, bite my tongue a lot here. But what I can tell you is this. One of the stories I started to write about out of Expo was how worried about Skip B Pinball I was. And I know for a fact in one of my Expo shows, I said that it was not a good show for them. I think I did like a who won and who lost at Expo. And I was worried about the build time on Predator, because I still think that at the end of the day, building 200 to 250 machines in your basement is an incredibly difficult thing to do. Was worried about their next game, Experts of Dangerous. I still have major concerns about that. But I will tell you, coming out of Expo, I had real concerns about Predator as a license based on rumblings. I had concerns. So, I'll say that. I had to sit on that. I still am sort of sitting on anything that I could tell you about that other than I had concerns. You hear something from one person, and it's like, okay, And honestly, I've felt at times with this podcast that people have baited me a little bit with info, just kind of to see it'd be fun if I would run with it on the show. And you never know. You never know what people's motives are. So, but when you hear something from more than one totally unrelated person or source, you start really wondering. So, fast forward to now, and what's happened on Pinside in the Skit B thread over the last few weeks. You've had accusations from an anonymous group of people who've kind of gone out of their way to say that they are an anonymous group that have claimed they have contacted Fox, the licensee of Predator, and that Fox has claimed to this anonymous group, and this stuff's all been posted here and there. And I've seen these emails. They've claimed that there is not only trouble with the license, but maybe there is no actual license for Skit B Pinball to build Predator. And cease and desist orders have been brought up in some of these anonymous emails. This is all accusations from people who don't want to reveal themselves. So take that, what you will. We got 2 emails sent out to Predator customers from Kevin, and I've seen those emails as well. The emails are very focused on people trying to sabotage the project. Obviously, he's talking about the people sending the anonymous emails to Pinsiders saying that these are the problems happen. They're saying that the story is going to break through another outlet, a very respected pinball news outlet, and that it will all come to light. And we're trying to prep you, this certain Pinsider or two, of what's going on. So we've seen that happen. A lot of that's been either paraphrased or parts of it cut and pasted and put in Pinside, so there's nothing here that you can't go find yourself. Kevin wrote a couple emails. First one, basically, in a nutshell, was saying there's people trying to, take me down. Don't worry. Everybody's good. Everybody's good. So that really freaked people out. Is that he basically was saying, yeah, there's some problems, and he freaked. I'm actually reading it right now just to make sure I'm not missing anything here. He says he'll be sending out as much information as he can as we move through these challenges. So he's admitting there's challenges. And then the next day, sort of a follow-up email apologizing for the confusion. He says he wanted to clarify what he thought was maybe a confusing message. And he said this project is not imploding or dying. And he didn't want people to, quote, read between the lines and think that, the games weren't going to get built. So he was trying to assure everybody. There's a Pinsider who's claimed to talk to him on the phone, and Kevin said everything's fine. So we have this sort of back and forth. We have doom and gloom coming to you from this side, and then Kevin sort of saying, no doom and gloom. There's people trying to cause doom and gloom, but there's no doom and gloom. Don't worry, we're going to be fine. So this leads me to my next little milestone where I have to comment. If there was, and I'm just giving this to you based on what I have read. This is not inside information. This is nothing that you couldn't come to yourself, friendly listener. If there were accusations that whatever I was building, let's say I was building a brand new, guitar, building a new guitar, and there were accusations saying that guitar that you have there, that you're building a Motorhead themed guitar. And then somebody said, hey man, I'm going to tell your customers, and started telling my customers, Nate's building that Motorhead guitar, but I talked to Lemmy, and Lemmy says there's no license for him to build that Motorhead guitar. And I came back on and said, hey man, people are coming at me trying to ruin my project. And I gave no evidence of proof that I actually had the right to build this Motorhead guitar, if I was watching from a distance from, a hilltop, unrelated, just looking at it unfold, I wouldn't buy that myself. And I have very strong doubts about this project right now based on these very damning accusations being thrown around. And instead of working to just appease everybody with facts, Kevin has sort of fallen into protection mode and saying that people are trying to bring the project down. I think that email alone would tell me, and I think it is probably, most people have keyed into this, there are issues with this license. There has to be. There just has to be, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking only based on my commentary on what I've read on the internet and one email back and forth with me and Kevin. And I emailed Kevin 2 nights ago and just said, hey man, I know things are not going well right now. I would love for you to explain it to me so that I can speak about it with knowledge and detail and not, speak out of turn, so to speak. I said, give me any information you can that would, tell the story as best as I can. I told him I did want to discuss this on my show soon, so this is, not blindsiding anybody that I'm coming on here spouting off about this whole thing. He knows. Kevin understands what I do, and he basically told me in his reply, and I won't read it or anything. This isn't really on the record stuff, but he basically just said that, yeah, it's not as black and white as you seem to think it might be. There's shades of gray. And we're working on it. So I replied to that and suggested a few things and told him some of the stuff that I know and some of the things I think I know and suggested a few things. And we left it at that so far. So I can tell you this. Things are happening. As far as stuff that's off the record that I can't talk about, things are happening. I'm not here to tell you that Predator's going to get built and all's going to be well and the project's going to go fine in this whole wait 2 weeks thing. That's fine. We can say wait 2 weeks all you want, but I think that it may be wait 5 days, it may be wait 2 months. Wait 2 weeks I don't think means anything at this point. Things need to happen. And somewhere in this project, there are some real serious legal questions to be answered that I've not seen answered myself yet anywhere. I've seen no evidence to point to me that Predator's safe. There's nothing on the company's website about it. There is no posted license contract with stuff blurred out and just saying, hey, look here, we can build Predator. Those are all just basic facts that anybody looking at this could see. I feel sort of bad for some people who are too close to the forest to see the trees. So I had to address this. I've had enough emails on this. I had to address it. I've had, other threads of mine on Facebook. This has come up. People wanted to hear what I have to say about it. It's really all I can say right now is if you really want to know what's going on, step away, read this whole situation as if it was something you weren't involved in, that you didn't have money in, you didn't care about, and ask yourself if it all lines up. I don't mean to be so like doom and gloom or whatever. I don't want that. But the problem with this situation, and it's really unfortunate because you don't have a guy and a group of guys like Skip B Pinball. You just don't have people go to the lengths that they have gone to build this machine unless they are really, truly in love with pinball, right? Nobody builds a flipping whitewood. And I don't mean a flipping whitewood like a flipping whitewood, but like, a whitewood that flips. Nobody does that unless they're really into wanting to build pinball machines. Nobody gets an artist to do playfield artwork. Nobody programs a game on a P-Rock board with all these rules and all these ideas and goes through all this trouble with paint that glows under a black light and drags prototype games to different shows. Nobody does all that doesn't really want to be building pinball machines and contribute to the art that is pinball machines, the hobby of pinball, the moment we're all having in this hobby where, yeah, man, Pinside's crazy right now. It's a little dramatic, and game prices are all over the place, and people are hoarding games in this area, and people are trying to sell $8,000 games here and this and that. It's crazy, but you know what? It's engaging if nothing else, and you don't step so far into all that if you don't really love it. It's why I guess I don't hold a grudge against, like, angry Pinside posting guy. You know that guy. There's lots of that guy. But angry Pinside posting guy, he just loves pinball. Now, he may be insecure in his own life and really, not know how to play well with others at times. Or super arrogant know-it-all guy. There's that guy too. I'm that guy sometimes, clearly. But the fact that they're putting all this energy and effort into pinball, you get a pass in my book. Because I'd rather have you here. Even if you drive me crazy, I'd rather have you to be a part of this movement. And I'm getting all like hippie communist on you here, but it's like a movement that we're all driving, and it's fun. So that's one of the sad things about the Predator situation as it is, because I don't care what ends up happening. And boy, oh boy, do I hope really badly that I'm really wrong with my sort of growing, maybe dread is too strong of a word, but my growing skepticism on things being really good for Predator and Skip B Pinball. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I can come on here and be like, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It was all a misunderstanding. I really hope that happens. Or even better, I hope that solutions are found to problems that exist, right? Because I want it to be a good outcome. And I started thinking about how to do this show, and I think one of the ways that you have to look at it, and I'm trying to convince you, friendly listener, to look at this with really open, clear eyes. And, not a negative look, not a positive look, just a real neutral look. There's a truth in here on what happened, right? There is an actual story on what happened with this game. The truth has to be something similar to one of these scenarios that I'm going to lay out here. And yes, I'm going to keep talking about it. Skip B either did one of these things. They either sent in information and contacted Fox to build a Predator game and got approval to build a Predator game. And this 250 number, I don't know where that ever came from. That was one of the things I was like really trying to dig down. Was that a licensee thing where they told them they could build 250? It was 250 just what they thought they could build, et cetera, et cetera. But, so we'll call this road number one. Road number one possibility. Skippy wanted to build the game. They sent in requests to build the game. They got a contract, because these things are all done with contracts, folks. This isn't a phone call. Yeah, you can build Predator. Cool. And then you go build Predator. That's not how it works. And something went wrong with the contract, and there's been problems with this contract to build these games. That's road one, I guess. Road two is the contract was misinterpreted, maybe. Maybe there was a contract for this game, and we have inexperienced business people here who didn't know how to work with the contract and have created a big problem by their actions, or just however it's gone down, whether that be the time of it or the actual game maybe, or whatever, and problems have arisen. That could be road two. one of the roads, 'cause there's probably more than 3 roads, but I think there's 3 major roads. I think, and major road 3 is, what if there was no license? What if there was never a license to build these games, and you had a group of guys who were really excited to build it and just thought, we're just going to build this and no one's going to notice a little group of guys. We're just some kids in the basement. No one's going to notice us building Predator pinball machines. And it'll be fine. I mean, what if that's got to be one of the roads, right? One of the options is that. That'd be a really sad outcome. And sad for the company, sad for the couple hundred or more people who've sent money in on the game. And that's really, I guess, what I would encourage everybody to look at this is there is a story here. There's actual events that happened. And I know they're hard to imagine sometimes that it isn't just all rosy and great like you think it is. But sometimes it's not. And you know what? I hope that I am edging the wrong way, and I hope that it is simply a big giant misunderstanding, right? So what's this doing for pinball as a hobby? Well, you're already seeing posts on Pinside back in the forums, and a lot of these posts consider prepaying for games. Is prepaying dead? Is the question that's been coming up, and I think I talked about this a few shows ago. Is the prepay model of building a pinball machine dead? Well, I don't know that it's dead, but I do know that if things with this game or things with, say, The Big Lebowski or another game end up with dozens, hundreds of people simply out the money, like literally, you're not getting your money and you're not getting your game. I don't know if that kills prepay pinball, but it certainly is a rough lesson for people, and it's going to change the way every company is viewed for a long, long time. I still think people are going to pre-buy a game if it's sold to them correctly. I still believe that. I think there's some people who like to post like, only a fool would send money now to a game that's not built. Well, hey man, lots of fools in the world. Lots of fools in the world. So no, I don't think it's dead, but I think it damages it. I think it's an unfortunate situation. I think that if you are at a pinball company right now, or you are considering building a pinball machine, mods for a pinball machine, a product that involves pinball, or anything else, one thing we can definitely learn from this is transparency is vital. Crossing your T's and dotting your I's is vital. And when you get to a point where you can't discuss it anymore because maybe some T's weren't crossed and some I's weren't dotted, you have a real problem. And that is one of the things that we're seeing happen with Skip B specifically right now, since that's who we're talking about, is the, I won't say radio silence, but the extreme lack of ability to communicate to the masses now that we're at this kind of rough spot. That's got to be telling a lot of people how to do it in the future, so to speak. So I guess I will wrap up my talk on Skip B Pinball and Predator. I think there will be more to come. In fact, I know there will be more to come. I can only follow it so much a day, and it's a little frustrating because I have pretty good instincts in stuff like this, and I really hope that solutions are found to the problems that are there. Is the best I can say it. I had more to do on this show, and I'm not going to do it. This is wearing me out, quite honestly, this whole thing. I will reiterate that Kevin has my email. He's welcome on this show anytime he wants to be on this show. If I said anything wrong on this show and somebody can point that out to me, I'll gladly correct myself. And thank you for listening. Totally unrelated. Let's take a left turn, shall we? I have new T-shirts, right? Of course, on the day that I got to touch on this really touchy subject, I come home to a couple big boxes of brand new Coast to Coast Pinball T-shirts with the new Coast to Coast Pinball logo, which is pretty exciting, and a pretty cool design. I like this design a lot. Artist friend of mine kind of did the original version of this, and then I tweaked it the way I wanted it afterwards. So I do have T-shirts. That info will be at coast2coastpinball.com under the shirts tab. Shirts will be $16 to the United States. Canada, I think, is $21. In Australia is $24. I've had a lot of folks from Australia emailing about the show lately and specifically asking about shirts. So I believe it's $24 PayPal from Australia, $21 to Canada, and $16 in the continental USA. If you'd like a T-shirt, check out the details on the website for that. We have more shows coming up this week. I have some great interview shows coming, and then we're like a week away from Papa 18 in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. So very excited about that. Thank you very much for listening. You can email me directly at coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. That's coast, the number 2, coast, pinball @gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and I really appreciate the support of the show and all the kind words. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Take care.